Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
If you can, come on!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and sitting right next to me is my brother, Tommy. How's it going, Tommy?
Good. How you doing?
And joining us once again is our good brother from Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram. It's Richard. How's it going, Richard?
It's going well, Danny.
Oh,
going real well.
Wow. Dude, what is that, like a belt buckle?
It is a belt buckle.
Oh, that's awesome. So for the Kliqsters out there who are listening to the audio version of this podcast, well, wait, we only do audio currently right now. That's the only version. But I'm looking at Richard right now virtually, and that clanking sound you hear, it's what do you call it? A replica of the Attitude Era WWE Championship, a smaller version. So a belt buckle? That's so cool.
My friend Izzy gave it to me for my birthday a few years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Man. Okay, like if you
always hold up a belt, so I figure...
I need my belt. It's on the other side of the room right now.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it.
No. But no, real talk, like that might be my favorite belt design of all time.
I like the one before it.
Yeah, Wing Eagle and the Attitude Era, like depending on my mood and what day it is.
What was the worst designing WWE Championship?
One or two, as far as those two designs. Okay, worst design?
The spinner.
Yeah, spinner.
Or I think another bad one was in the early 80s when Bob Backlund and Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan, they had that big green belt. You remember that one?
Yeah.
That one was pretty bad.
That one.
You did?
I like that one. I did.
It
looks like the Mid-South title.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
I like all that hard... I mean, it wasn't around that long, so it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other...
Sorry, Danny, we're nerding out.
No, that's fine. Like,
this is great topics to discuss.
Yeah,
here.
belt designs. I know our
I was not a fan of the one that Brock, Undertaker, Triple H, and Hogan had in 2002.
The Flaming Skull one?
No, Undisputed Era one? Or not Undisputed, sorry.
Yeah, the Undisputed one. Because it was the end of the Winged Eagle one.
Sorry. I meant Undisputed Championship.
Did Eddie Guerrero? No, not Eddie Guerrero.
No, that's one.
Eddie had that one.
After.
Eddie had it too, yeah.
No,
Okay.
so yeah, it was the belt design right after the Attitude Era.
Okay.
I actually like the one now that they have. I think I just got really tired of the scratch logo.
Yeah, I mean, once they dropped the scratch logo from WWE's like official logo and went with the more clean, precise looking, sharp, yeah, and then applied that to the title, it made the title much better. Was The Rock? The Rock had like he was the last holder of that one, right, with the scratch WWE. Remember he won it from CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Yeah. That one, now looking back on it, I mean, it was a little rough around the edges, no pun intended, of the scratch look. But, no, I mean, God, maybe we could do that one day, breakdown. We should do, like, bonus episodes, hopefully in the near future, of, like, fun topics of, like, favorite belt designs or, any other fun topic we always talk about.
I'm down with that.
I've got an already made list for you. Don't worry.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so, breaking the fourth wall a little bit, I'm in the process of getting a new computer, and hopefully that will give us the opportunity to do a lot more cool opportunities with this podcast. So hopefully in the coming week or two, we'll start rolling these out. Some fun bonus content for all you Kliqsters out there. But no, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode of In The Kliq. As always, remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at In The Kliq and inthekliq@gmail.com. But no, thank you again to the Kliqsters. Like, literally in the last couple of weeks, our numbers have been going up pretty damn good. So I'm really happy with that. You know, I'm really happy with all the body of work we've been doing and the momentum we've been getting. So, dude, there's just so much to talk about week to week with pro wrestling. So, for this particular episode, just considering we got a little bit late start in the week as far as recording, for this episode, we're just going to focus on talking about the most recent episode of Friday Night SmackDown and the big show from this weekend, which was NXT TakeOver 31. So much goodness to talk about between both those shows. So just going in order. So Friday Night SmackDown happened. And, Richard, just, like always, we'll give our initial thoughts and then work our way through some of the highlights. So for you, just your initial takeaways from this episode of SmackDown.
This has felt like the most WWE in a positive way show in years.
Mm-hmm.
This really felt like this is Bruce Pritchard picking up where he left off before he left WWE or got fired. So it just, there wasn't a lot of in-ring action, but like all the segments were just like, it all felt important or meant something. And I loved it. I mean, I think Alexa Bliss is on a different level with her acting ability, as we'll get into. But
yeah,
just a all-around entertaining as hell show, and SmackDown seems to steal it every week.
Yeah, that's something I think we have consistently been talking about. Definitely the last couple months is SmackDown has been arguably the most consistent, best show that WWE's been putting out for the last couple months. I mean, as far as just the more exciting storylines, the emotion involved, the wrestling in the ring. It just, everything is really like flushed out. And, even last week's episode, like every segment addressed a different part of the roster, from like mid cards, tag team, the main event scene, the women's division.
And it feels like everyone's maximizing their minutes in the ring or backstage. Like nothing feels like it's wasted.
Yeah, all the different spots on the roster are getting time to shine. And I'm not saying, like, of course, not every wrestler on the roster is getting screen time. You just can't force everyone out there, but just the storylines that they have going right now and the superstars that are involved in those storylines, they're all doing an amazing job, and it's been very entertaining. And it's great. I mean, for all of us growing up in the Attitude Era, but the Ruthless Aggression era, that's when, with the first brand split happened, SmackDown was the hidden gem. While Raw had all like the veterans and quote the established stars, SmackDown, what was it, Paul Heyman, the SmackDown 6, where the upcoming talent were shining and like the future stars and legends were being born there. So I mean, I think for a lot of us, SmackDown in the last 2 decades is the spot to go for just a lot of the top-notch storylines and performances out there from WWE. So a lot of stuff to get to, and I'm with you, Richard. Yeah, like I said, it was very entertaining show, and this was the fallout from Clash of Champions. So if you haven't done so, please listen to our Clash of Champions review. And so with that, I mean, we're still on a high from that pay-per-view of Clash of Champions, especially the main event of Roman Reigns taking on his cousin, Jey Uso. What an incredible, emotional, dramatic match. And so the opening segment from SmackDown this week, we saw Roman Reigns come out to the ring. And long story short, as far as the conclusion from the Universal Championship match, we saw Jey Uso never officially quit. His twin Jimmy came out, threw the towel in, and told Roman himself, "You're the tribal chief." But Jey, the opponent in that match, didn't say anything. And for the last week, it was on Roman's mind, and he brought that up. He was like, "Hey, Roman didn't get fully what he wanted out of it, as far as he wanted his opponent Jay to say those words. And so that's what we call, like, he's holding that grudge with him. And so Jay comes out to the ring and they have a little back and forth, and pretty much it was announced a rematch is set for Hell in a Cell. And so a lot of people were saying, oh, it's going to be in a Hell in a Cell match. That was not officially, I don't think it's officially clear yet. They just said they're going to have a rematch, but whether it's in a Hell in a Cell.
Roman didn't say Hell in a Cell at all. He just said a rematch that he'll regret.
Yeah, and we assume it's going to be at the next pay-per-view, which is Hell in a Cell. So I think as far as what matches are going to be in the, quote, Hell in a Cell match, it's kind of unclear yet what's going to be in it. They've still got a few weeks to build up to that. We can assume what those matches will be. So it's going to be interesting. So I love this. It's just continuing of Roman Reigns as this, quote, heel persona, and just he's on a tear right now as far as demanding respect as the tribal chief, and he's using that to take it out on people who don't respect him for that. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Analyzing.
I think all of this is going to build. I think you brought this up before, maybe, but I think this is all going to build towards Roman and The Rock.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania's a couple months away.
Yeah.
So it's start building him up now for months and months, this terror reign of Roman Reigns, and then you've got like the hottest match in forever. So
yeah, I mean it's definitely going to be a family affair. So I can see that it's going to be stretched out to WrestleMania next year as far as Roman taking out members of his family and
most likely we'll see him take out The Rock.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Roman, he keeps saying, like, I'm the tribal chief of this family, and you can argue, well, no, The Rock is the biggest name in this family, so The Rock can come back and say, nah, like, who are you to say, you're calling the shots? I'm The Rock, like, I'm the great one, and that could lead to, all of them going at it for a WrestleMania match, and then ultimately, if we're already fantasy booking to next year's WrestleMania, is The Rock could probably do the biggest job and put his own cousin over for Roman. That'll be great, some heel heat for him down the road. So that's already looking ahead to 2021. So but in the immediate future, as far as Roman and Jey Uso, so we're gonna get a rematch, which I'm kind of shocked. I mean, I kind of thought it was gonna be one and done, and Roman's gonna move on to someone else. But for Jey, kudos to him. It's opportunity to stay in the main event scene right now, especially he's a singles guy right now. His brother's still recovering from his injury, so I'm gonna look forward to this matchup. So I just kind of hope they tell a little bit of a different story, and they just don't try to recreate the same match we just saw at Clash of Champions. Hopefully, they could tell a different story in the ring. So that's going to be the challenge on them and the creative team involved with that. So good stuff there overall. Next up, a segment that Richard, as you were just alluding to a second ago, involving Alexa Bliss. So coming over from Monday Night Raw for this night only, Kevin Owens brought over the Kevin Owens show, and his special guest was Alexa Bliss. And pretty much Kevin Owens just called out Alexa Bliss for her behavior as of late, how anytime someone says Bray Wyatt or The Fiend around her, she her whole body language and personality changes into like a trance involving. She like becomes what's the word?
Possessed,
yeah. And she's in this trance thinking about The Fiend and like kind of like acting on his behalf. And so I'll let you take it away here as far as your just thoughts of this segment and just how Alexa Bliss was just awesome in it.
She played it perfect to a T, because typically what WWE will do is there's a lot of those long awkward pauses and staring off like they're contemplating something. But this, she felt like there was a bit of innocence mixed with fear and putting on this fake smile.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, my God, she's like on a different level than everyone else is with selling this the way it's supposed to be. So, and the delivery and the lines that she used were perfect. So I loved it. And Kevin Owens just kind of being like a prick about it, in a babyface kind of way. I enjoyed that. And then it was just like, like Kevin Owens standing up and being like, what did he say? He's here, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then she just like kind of gets this creepy grin on her face, and she's like, he's everywhere. And it's like, oh man, this is right in time for Halloween.
Yeah. So no, her whole performance was great as far as being serious, just kind of like, what are you talking about? Kind of being innocent, as you said. And then Kevin is kind of grilling her. It was like, come on. Like every time we say the Fiend and you act different. And then she went into change of mode. And
yeah, but it was like, it was borderline the way she was talking
psychotic.
about how, yeah, but the way she was talking about how the Fiend makes her feel, it was borderline sexual without any innuendos. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like it was about to go there and it doesn't go there.
Yeah, or just how when someone is in fact infatuated, am I saying that right? With someone very much like someone
Tommy with me.
Exactly. Or I was gonna say Harley Quinn, who Alexa Bliss kind of more or less cosplays in the ring sometimes, how from the comics and the cartoon, how Harley Quinn is in love with the Joker and how he could put a spell on her easily and just can control her. So it's very much like that. It's like this weird relationship between Alexa Bliss and the Fiend now. So it's like she really is changed after being under his possession not too long ago. And so how she could put a spell on her, he could put a spell on her, and she just has he has full control of her. And so but just as far as being all innocent, and then she says let him in, and then she says he's everywhere, and just kind of like going crazy there. So it was great. And then Kevin gets up, he's like, he's here, and all of a sudden, sure enough, the Fiend pops in the ring and attacks him. And so it looks like that's the beginning of a new rivalry right now.
Yeah, and they're gonna have a match this week.
Yeah, on next SmackDown.
But I also love, because usually they haven't done this in forever, which is a tiny thing. But when Alexa takes his hand, she turns and looks right into the camera and smiles.
Yeah,
and it's like WWE typically doesn't look into the camera ever.
Yeah.
So even with backstage interviews, they talk at that weird sideways angle and act like the camera's not there. But like she turned and looked at the camera and gave this big grin, and it was just like, yeah, this is money.
So I wonder how this is going to play out. Is she going to be kind of like a manager for the Fiend, or is it going to be like she's gonna what's the Fiend ultimately going to use her for?
Well, Bray Wyatt's gimmick all along has been a cult leader.
Yeah.
Right. And this is different, but at the same time, he's still the cult leader. So if you know anything about cults, typically they use women to recruit people.
Oh.
Because cults are typically, they will use the women for the sexual aspect and then drug them and get them all hopped up on drugs to make them believe whatever they want them to believe.
Interesting. Yeah.
She could be there to get him some new buddies.
Oh my God. The fact you said that, not too long ago, within the last couple weeks, I was channel surfing, or I was waiting for something to come on, and they had a documentary about Waco, Texas, and Tommy, what's his name?
David Koresh.
Yeah, and just the women that were talking about, and they were talking to one woman who managed to survive it, and looking back on it. So that's such a great connection you made there. I haven't really heard that from anyone else.
Did you mention it's like a Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah. Stockholm syndrome is where you're kind of afraid to leave someone, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I'm just
you've been trapped with that person long enough that you've adapted into some sort of bizarre state of mind where you're comfortable with the person.
Yeah, so there are some similarities there, Tommy, what you're saying. But no, for Alexa Bliss, this whole thing is really going to be
like Patty Hearst.
Yes, I'm trying to remember the full Patty Hearst story, but
with the SLA.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying, dude, it's a very compelling story that they have going on right now. And then, Richard, as you said, they're gonna have a match between Kevin Owens and The Fiend next Friday on SmackDown. And I'm just spoiler alert, or I'm not trying to spoil anything, but if you watch Raw tonight, I'm watching East Coast time. There's more to the story on this episode, and it's just interesting as well, because here's the draft coming up next Friday on SmackDown, and we have Raw and SmackDown people appearing on each show these last couple episodes. So it's very interesting. Kevin Owens is appearing on SmackDown this week. So I wonder if that's foreshadowing he's going to move over to SmackDown in the near future with the draft and maybe keep that storyline going. Or maybe it's the opposite. I'm just, I know we kind of did a little prediction video on our Instagram live the other night, which I encourage you to go back and listen to. It's also on YouTube as well. Maybe I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, maybe they get drafted to Raw and take on Kevin Owens there. So with this cross-brand rivalry taking place right now, one or the other is going to get drafted to the other show. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be really cool where this goes. Another thing we've been talking about, we've been seeing the last few weeks these vignettes of a woman with long blonde hair, very sexy outfits, getting ready. We never saw her face, and a lot of people are speculating who is it. A couple weeks ago, we kind of put two and two together that we think it's Carmella based on some
tattoos.
Yeah, tattoos that were lining up, based on other photos of her in her personal life. And sure enough, it was revealed Carmella is the woman in the back that's been getting ready in these vignettes. So not a complete shocker, but looks like she's getting a little bit of a gimmick change. And Richard, this is we were kind of touching on it before in a previous episode. Is this the gimmick that Vince has been wanting to do for the longest time with various other women on the roster, but never got to? I think the first one was Tennille Dashwood, or back when she was Emma, trying to do was
Evolution.
That didn't play out. And then who was someone else? Was it Lana?
Eva Marie, then Lana.
Yeah, so all these various women, which I don't know how to describe it. It's like a sultry, like hot, very exotic woman that's also a wrestler as well. Yeah. I'm trying to think like what's the best way to describe it, but
a femme fatale.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, it can kill her. She can kill her with your looks, or I don't know. It's interesting. So anyway,
I think she can pull this off better than any of those other people can. Because one, she can wrestle. She is if you think about it, when she was the SmackDown Women's Champion, her whole gimmick was screaming and running away.
Yeah.
So you forget that before she got called up, she was actually a really good wrestler, starting to be a really good wrestler on NXT.
Yeah.
And we've not ever seen that on the main roster. So the fact that she's getting a complete reboot and a complete attitude change, and she's dropping
it's kind of the same with Zelina Vega.
Yeah. Zelina Vega is getting a push on her own right now. But Richard, as you're saying, so just as far as
I think she's going to pull off what they've wanted for this gimmick for years.
Yeah.
So, she's ultra talented. She's damn good in the ring. She's good on a mic. I mean, all the stuff with her and R-Truth, just gold there.
Well, and here's my thing, because in the video package, she said she tried to please all the fans. I'm paraphrasing here. Pretty much was being a baby face, and it didn't get her anywhere. And part of me was like, wait, she's a 2-time, I think, SmackDown Women's Champion, Money in the Bank winner. Like, she's accomplished.
Nella in the Bank.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. I just, I'll suspend my disbelief to believe it.
I think she means, what with wrestling fans, it's what have you done for me lately?
True.
So I think that's the narrative that she's pulling. It makes more sense than anything EC3 does. So.
It's believable. Which, by the way, if anyone listening right now, if you're an EC3 fan, check out Ring of Honor's Twitter, see a new video package. So looks like
he's the same as the Impact one.
So yeah, it looks like EC3 is going to be doing stuff with Ring of Honor and Impact. So good for him. So, so the other big thing was Sasha Banks made her return to SmackDown here, just to confront Bayley as far as, or just explain, what's been going on. So she comes out to the ring with a neck brace on, and long story short, she rips off the neck brace and says she wants to go after Bayley and get some revenge for being attacked from her former best friend. So I don't know about you, Richard. I mean, it's like we saw this coming. It was also announced that the match is supposed to take place on the next episode of Friday Night SmackDown. I'm a little take him back. I don't want us to see this matchup so soon. I mean, you and I, we talked about it before. It's like, I want to see this at WrestleMania or maybe Survivor Series, but the fact that they're going to offer it on Friday night, like on a free
it's
TV
not
show?
ending on this. It's not going to end this weekend.
True.
SmackDown, but even I know what you're saying. Like, you want it for a big show, but at the same time, Bayley just hit 500 days today.
Yeah.
So, what do you do?
Yeah,
I mean, it's because for a while, people were saying wait for the fans to come back for that one, and it's like, well, we don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah,
could be another year for all we know. So you can't do that because then you're wasting time.
Yeah. Well, another thing too is I bet what's going to happen is, like, I think they're probably going to have a match at Hell in a Cell. Now, whether if it's in an actual Hell in a Cell matchup or not, I mean, that's yet to be determined. But I bet, yeah, this match is probably going to end in either a DQ or some wacky finish.
I bet you she gets counted out. And then they say that the stipulation is going to be in a Hell in a Cell, but she can't get counted out there.
Exactly. And then here's a crazy idea, like, I thought about afterwards. What happened if
Brock Lesnar comes into the cell and F5s both of them, and then the match just ends?
That would be pretty interesting.
That'd be epic.
He's like, I'm going after these titles now.
That would be cool if something like that happened.
Or he has his wife Sable come in and become a new champion.
And rips off the doors.
Brings her back. So I'm just thinking about this. Hypothetically, what happens if on this Friday night or even Monday, the following Monday, Sasha Banks gets drafted to Raw and splits them up, and so their match never happens. Therefore, Sasha has to go into the Royal Rumble match next year to win that, to finally challenge her at WrestleMania to get her revenge. So that's how you delay it, because you actually split them up.
You could, but then you still run into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months down the road.
Yeah,
before she loses the belt.
Or theoretically, like, losing momentum, and the story loses momentum by that point. So
yeah.
But I'm just throwing it out there. It'd be interesting if WWE goes that route and, like, they have this match on Friday. It ends in like Bayley, gets herself counted out. Sasha's pissed, and then Sasha gets drafted to Raw, and she's even more pissed because she didn't get a full match for revenge, and she came and faced them on SmackDown.
Here's something for you, though, since you really want this to happen at Mania.
Yeah.
They are on SmackDown, and that is a Bruce Pritchard show, and Bruce Pritchard's specialty is long-term storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 months or 7 months is nothing for him. He can do that.
Totally. Absolutely.
So
I'm just throwing it out there.
This is the guy that put together the Mega Powers Explode. So.
Yeah. It's so... and this is very much, was it Mega Bosses? I don't know what's the name.
The Golden Role Models?
Yeah, exactly.
Boss and Hug Connection?
Yes, all that. So,
Two Belts Banks?
Exactly. And then one last big highlight from this show was Sami Zayn, the official, it's now confirmed after Clash Champions, the sole IC champion, Intercontinental champion for the SmackDown brand. And he took on Jeff Hardy. So it's interesting, because remember, did they say, like, last year, like, no more rematches right away after a pay-per-view or something? And here we are. It's another rematch, even though it was a triple threat at Clash of Champions. But Sami Zayn, Jeff Hardy go at it. I like it more at the beginning of the show when Sami Zayn had both titles and threw Jeff Hardy's title into the garbage can.
That ruling, though, has expired, because that was the Shane McMahon ruling when he was GM.
Was it that long ago?
That's going farther back.
So
he wanted to make things different on SmackDown than it was on Raw.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I mean, we got them going at it in the main event. Sami Zayn sneaked out a victory. It's great because, like, between, like, his long beard and long hair now, so when he pulls off a big sneaky win or a quick victory, his like facial expressions, his bushy wild hair everywhere, it just adds so much more layers of charisma to a victory like that. So I'm actually digging him as IC champion again. And I think I said this before, I hope now we get to see maybe the storyline play out of what the original plans were of him as IC champion after WrestleMania, before he went home and was quarantined the whole time and up in Canada. So I'd love to see if they're gonna like jumpstart that storyline that they had in plan earlier this year. So it's gonna be exciting. I kind of, part of me is just throwing this out there. It'd be kind of interesting if maybe Sami Zayn gets drafted to Raw, like brings the IC title to Raw, and then like maybe the US belt gets to SmackDown, maybe like the whole Hurt Business. I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing ideas out there. It'd be interesting if they'll throw like the mid-card titles from one brand to the other again, like they've done in the past. So,
see, I think they should do that with the world champs.
Really, you think Drew should go to SmackDown?
Drew's faced everyone on Raw, you know, and why not?
It's like I am, dude. Like
I think they should. I haven't watched Raw tonight yet, but I think they should have a contract signing for Orton and McIntyre. That way, that match happens at Hell in a Cell, but Drew's still moving to SmackDown. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you finish off that storyline one way or another,
and then they can move on to their own separate.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm curious. I mean, I would assume the first and second picks are going to be Roman and Drew, respectively. Like, each champion from each show are going to go to one show or the other. So, it's going to be, interesting this draft, how it plays out. I just really hope they move around some pieces and just will get some fresh matchups for the next few months because of this. So, that's one thing I'm excited for the draft is I think there's some stale storylines and it's due for a change. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And so, I mean, that'll wrap up SmackDown talk for this week. But the draft next week I'm looking forward to and, you know, what comes from it. So, all right, let's jump on over to this weekend. NXT TakeOver 31 is now in the books. Wow, what an amazing show. My quick just little thoughts is, for a show that didn't have a lot of build for a lot of these storylines, I felt a lot of these storylines were kind of rushed in the last couple of weeks of NXT. You can't argue the in-ring work and performances that happened on this show. It was outstanding.
I don't think stories are that important when it comes to a takeover anyway, because you know that you're watching it for the matches. You know, you're not going to get some crazy finish that doesn't make any sense because it's TakeOver, you know, like they've consistently been the best wrestling pay-per-views.
Yeah, and I will add to your point is luckily I think everyone that appeared on this show, we more or less have been watching them for a couple years now. So even if they don't have like a big storyline with each respective person in the ring, we know who they are as far as characters go and their character work, and we can get invested in them pretty much anyway. I mean, Johnny Gargano obviously is arguably one of the greatest NXT performers of all time. He is Johnny TakeOver. His wife's been doing amazing work lately. He does have history with Io Shirai from the last year. So I think a lot of people involved in this show, even though the respective matchups that happened were all kind of thrown together last minute, overall, we've been following these competitors for a long period that we can get excited for them anyway.
My only complaint with that one was not even the match. But it seems like whenever someone turns heel, the announcers say 20 times how, they betrayed their best friend. And it's just like, so Tegan Nox's best friend is Candice LeRae, but Tegan Nox's best friend is also Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
they're sisters.
You're using that as a crutch a little bit.
Yeah.
I would prefer it to just be like, you know, she's doing these dastardly things and she's a different person than she was.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting. Just, how they kind of use that a lot. So, let's go ahead and jump into this. So, the first thing that came out Sunday morning, courtesy of Sports Illustrated, Triple H did an interview there and announced a couple things. One, so there was rumors the last few days that NXT was going to be leaving Full Sail University and going to start doing production elsewhere. And a lot of people were speculating it's going to be at the Performance Center, which, as we found out, it is. And it was announced that the Performance Center got a little bit of a remodel and a rebranding of names
A major upgrade.
Major. So let's jump into that. So the Performance Center, it's still there. The location, the building, everything's still there. But now it's not no longer called the WWE Performance Center. It's now called, Tommy, do you have the name of it?
Oh, yes. The Capitol Wrestling Center.
Yeah. So it's got a new name, and apparently they kind of remodeled the inside to once again set it up as a TV studio for them to put on shows. NXT is going to be putting on all their television work there for the foreseeable future.
Basically, the Capitol Wrestling Center and the design of the logo in that is supposed to be a tribute to when WWE started out as the Capitol Wrestling Corporation, when it was founded by Vince McMahon's grandfather, Jess McMahon.
Yeah. So that was what,
1952.
I heard 53, but anyway.
It was roughly around 52, 53.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Championship Wrestling
Capitol Wrestling Corporation.
Capitol Wrestling Corporation. That was the initial business that started, which then turned
into...
Which
was a branch of the NWA as well.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
And then that evolved into the WWWF.
The Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, that they branched off when they took the belt off of Buddy Rogers, and they didn't feel like Buddy Rogers should have lost the belt. And Buddy Rogers is making a lot of money in New York for them. So they split off Vince Sr. And broke off from the NWA and just did his own thing.
Right.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, so it's very cool. So a couple things here. One, I think it's cool that they changed the name and kind of honoring the history of the company and just, reusing the old name of when the company first started to kind of call this the Performance Center after that.
And as the late, great Roddy Piper would say, old school is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so they remodeled the inside. So it's very much the setup for everyone who watched TakeOver. You saw it. It's very much Thunderdome light as far as they got
this felt like what they want Raw Underground to be.
That's kind of what I thought. I was like dude, this is ultimate fighting.
This looked like something like we would watch when we were kids. Remember they'd have those challenge shows?
Yeah, on
like
MTV.
Obstacle courses and stuff. Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Like American Gladiators? Or
yeah, because they still got the same barriers around the ring, but then there's fencing in front of some of it, which they used in the swerve match.
Yeah.
It was awesome looking.
So yeah, the setup is it was like they took elements from when WWE started doing shows at the Performance Center during the start of the pandemic era as far as that initial setup, but then they added the big TV screens that we saw in the Thunderdome and the light show, but also overall had just that darker, gritty feeling from Full Sail from the NXT show. So it's like a combination of all that into one. But I like how it's like one big screen that goes around inside the Performance Center, instead of at Thunderdome where it's literally thousands of individual monitors spread out.
Right.
I like it's just one big screen go around. So it's like when they have the virtual fans up on those screens, and so when all of them are lit up, it really adds a lot of great light and lights up the place inside. And then on the floor, they have a mixture of actual bodies in attendance. So it's a mixture of NXT talent, family and friends of staff, and they actually let some fans in, and they all had to get tested to be let in and wear their mask. And they got pods in there, it looks like, where people
have you two been tested to do this podcast with me?
Should we do it? We should.
We have to.
up your nose.
Yeah.
I saw Timothy Thatcher there. I saw Shotzi Blackheart.
Oh yeah.
Shotzi's the number one fan.
Yeah, totally. So
she's just whipping her hair around and all that,
No, it was great.
Headbanging.
It was great.
Falling on her head.
Yeah.
But no, it was cool. They still have the plexiglass around the ring, but they added the chain link fence around it. So yeah, very much like a cage fight setup in there.
I like it.
No, overall I loved it. And Triple H even said he wanted to make it a more of a heavy metal feeling. That was his words. And Tommy pointed out it looked
nailed it.
No, when I saw the cage, the surrounding of it, there's a music video. It's by one of my favorite metal bands, Megadeth, and it's the song called Wake Up Dead. If you look if you watch the video for Wake Up Dead, it's in they're like in a cage, and all these fans are just rushing to the cage, to the stage where they're performing, and it just had that atmosphere, like it was like a steel cage match.
Yeah. So the overall, very cool. So I'm excited. So yeah, moving forward, this is going to be the TV studio for NXT to put on takeovers and the week-to-week episodes. And also it was announced that NXT is going to go back to live episodes every week now. So recently they've been like filming like a couple episodes back to back. Now they're going to go
just in case.
So they're going to go back to live broadcasts.
But how about that intro to TakeOver 31?
Yeah, dude, Richard.
It was epic.
Just that black and white footage showing old historical footage of wrestling.
You know I like that shit.
I know.
Me too. I'm a sucker for nostalgia.
And like that quote from Vince McMahon Sr.
I got it right here.
From 1977.
He said, You're looking at some of the most remarkable athletes in the world today. Professional wrestlers are a rare breed of athlete possessing gargantuan proportions, enormous strengths, unique coordination and agility, a high threshold of physical tolerance, pulverizing power, and the ability to withstand the rigors of one of the most taxing sports known to man, professional wrestling.
Yes. And that's pretty amazing that they really are emphasizing wrestling in the name, in that quote.
It's about time.
It's because, listen, for the last 20 years, they really kind of try to move away from the term wrestling, use sports entertainment. Instead of calling them wrestlers, call them superstars. So I think this is really cool that they're doing all this part of this new branding for NXT. And I love this setup. I think it's a nice change of scenery for everyone involved. And I'm super excited about this. So let's jump into the first match of the night. So it was announced that it was going to be Damian Priest defending the NXT North American Championship against Johnny TakeOver himself, Johnny Gargano. Wow, what an opener.
It was a banger.
Yeah, Richard, your thoughts on this opening match?
I thought it was great. I have one qualm.
Okay.
I think Damian Priest needs to not sell as heavy for smaller guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it seems like he lowers himself to that level instead of like having them wrestle up to his level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you look at X-Pac and Scott Hall, or Razor Ramon, like Scott Hall's fighting his way up to Scott Hall to get the win, not the other way around where Scott's looking like he's in jeopardy of losing the match. Never did Scott look like he was in jeopardy of losing the match till he lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Interesting. Well, he did lose, right? Razor Ramon got lost.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 kid.
1, 2, 3 kid. Yeah. Sean Waltman.
No, I hear what you're saying. And like, first off, kudos to Damian Priest. Like, over this summer, his stock has really improved between the In Your House matchup against Finn Balor, winning the ladder match at the last TakeOver to become North American champion. I mean, the last few months, he's been doing an amazing job putting on some great matches. And here he is, another great match with Johnny Gargano, very hard hitting. But yeah, I know, listen, Damian Priest is a big guy, so pretty much the majority of the time his matchups are going to be against smaller guys. But in recent months, between Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, he's going up against much smaller guys. So I can see what you mean as far as he should kind of be dominating a little bit more from a physical standpoint. But overall, though, it was such...
Overall, no, it's still a stellar match.
Yeah.
Absolutely stellar.
Dude, that
everything on this show was stellar.
That razor's edge on the outside onto the side of the
that
ring.
was nasty.
Oh, my God. That was painful. But I will say this, overall, like the wrestling that night was so amazing. All the matches delivered. And this is something I kind of noticed, like an observation standpoint. Both you guys, like the current landscape of pro wrestling right now, as far as the companies that are putting on matches right now and in shows. So over in New Japan, they got the G1 tournament going on right now. Ring of Honor, they got the tournament to crown a new pure champion. And everyone's been praising those matches in that tournament because it's very hard-hitting, very athletic, kind of getting back to just basic technical wrestling. And New Japan, obviously, their strong style. They got the hard-hitting, athletic matchups as well. So it's very interesting. I wonder if...
And the same goes for the Heritage Cup right now in NXT UK.
Yeah, so I'm just putting it out there for you guys. I just kind of wonder if NXT sees that. It's like our peers, our fellow promotions that, our competition, they're really focusing and emphasizing the hard-hitting technical wrestling. So I wonder if NXT is like, what, let's go out there and prove that we have the best talented performers in the world.
Well, that's every takeover, though.
True. But I mean, it's just like,
Right.
but like, even like more so, I wonder if I would love to find out if there's more emphasis of that, or does anyone make that type of comparison? I myself might be just making that comparison, but nonetheless, I think it's really interesting between Raw and SmackDown. There's more emphasis on the entertainment side of things.
We've had tournaments all summer with NXT. It's just, they weren't like 30 men in a tournament like Ring of Honor's doing or New Japan's doing. So, because their roster's smaller.
Yeah. So I'm just saying
the roster's smaller for that.
Yeah. So it just, to me though, it's a really great time. I think if you're a fan of that style of wrestling, you're getting it on multiple platforms right now and other promotions. But
that's a current Vince McMahon quote, by the way. It's an old quote, but that's Vinnie Max, not Vince's dad.
Oh, is it from 1977?
Yeah. Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Oh, he said it?
Vincent James McMahon. Vincent
dad.
J. McMahon is the father.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Let's see. And then after that, we saw Kushida take on Velveteen Dream. Richard, what
this is my second favorite match of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I thought this... I don't know why. I wasn't expecting it to be. I think people need to realize that WWE is not going to keep a pedophile on their roster, and that he didn't do this. Because if you recall, people said the same shit about Goldust when Goldust started out with that character, that he was a sexual deviant and that Marlena was really a little boy or a man, and it's just like, I think that there's so much hate towards Velveteen Dream right now that's like unfiltered and just kind of gross.
Yeah.
But this match I was just way more hard hitting than I was expecting it to be. Like, This felt like a New Japan match and not a WWE match.
Oh yeah.
Well, Kushida
just took it to Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, like, I mean,
just dished it out. It was just a fight.
Yeah, Kushida, his big thing is he has this more aggressive style right now, or attitude as far as going into the ring. And this match is finally taking place after they've been going back and forth for a while now. A couple things. Kushida, obviously, big Back to the Future fan, comes out looking like Marty McFly. And
he jumped him. He didn't even make his.
Yeah, he just
appeared out of nowhere through time and space.
Yeah.
But Velveteen Dream comes out looking like Doc Brown with the.
I thought he looked more like Don King with that hairdo, with it's all gray looking now.
That's the thing. It was like his hair was trying to be white, but it was more like silver, and it was like sweating down his face. So his face was silver, all match. But he had the yellow gloves, the white pants. So very much trying to look like Doc Brown.
Did he have cocaine in his hair?
No.
Just joking.
And so,
he's not joking, folks.
And so, the Velveteen Dream comes out to the ring, but yeah, he starts getting his ass kicked from Kushida, and I thought that Kushida like dominated the majority of this match.
Oh yeah,
like he was kicking Velveteen Dream's ass the majority of this match. It was
not short. Like, it was a nice long match, and it was just a really great brawl.
Yeah,
it was
a great ass whooping that Kushida inflicted on.
Well, that's the thing. Keep in mind, like, Velveteen Dream cost Kushida a chance for the world title, the NXT championship, a couple weeks ago. And so, yeah, Kushida is pissed and wants to get revenge on him. So I love this new personality from Kushida right now. And like, God, he was stretching Velveteen Dream in many spots in the ring. And then eventually, Kushida eventually gets the victory, but even after the match, he still keeps beating his ass.
Yeah.
So I love it. And so that's the thing. It's interesting for Velveteen Dream. Like, what's next for Velveteen Dream? Is he due to get drafted now? Is he going to be off TV for a while? Is he going to be losing a little bit more as a form of punishment for based on all the issues outside of the ring? I like. There's a lot of questions I have surrounding Velveteen Dream and what's going to happen with him.
I think WWE needs to explain the situation somewhere. I don't know how you do it, but like I think they need to explain what's real and what's not, because what is real is that he did get into some sort of a car accident with someone and left.
Yeah.
And he did get injured. And it's if you find the person on Twitter that accused him of sexual misconduct and you go through their timeline, they're just someone that trolls everybody. It's not just a Velveteen Dream thing, but people latched onto it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Well,
so
I was just
I think WWE should clarify it, because you can clarify it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only thing too is what they were also reacting to recently was Triple H in an interview or something yesterday said Velveteen Dream's immaturity outside the ring is affecting his professional career now. So
let's look at this as well though, because he's how old? Like he doesn't
25.
25?
Yeah.
He's 25. He's been there for like 3-4 years. Do you remember not that long ago they had issues with Tyler Bate as well?
Yeah.
A year or two ago with him being immature. And you had the same thing with Randy Orton when they hired him, because he was 20, 21.
Totally. I mean, youngest champion, right?
Yeah, he was 23.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what's going to be next for Velveteen Dream here. Is he going to be, him and Austin Theory, are they going to just be punished with more and more losses on TV? Does Velveteen Dream go away for a while?
I don't think it's punishments, though, because if you're punishing them, they're having squash matches. If you lose a match with time, you're still getting pushed because you had the time.
Yeah.
Like when remember when Matt Riddle debuted and beat Cassius Ohno?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now that's burying somebody.
Yeah.
Because he came in, hit 2 moves, and won.
Yeah. And that TakeOver
Austin Theory's losing matches, but he's engaged in segments and a full match. So
like with Adam Cole last week. So
yeah.
And he's making it competitive.
Yeah, so like I said, I think that for me that's gonna be a big observation.
Yeah, but if you're not invested in somebody, you're not giving them any screen time, i.e. EC3 and Cassius Ohno.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So yeah, something to look out for. And now Kushida, I wonder what's next for him. Does he go?
I think Kushida and Balor.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
I'm down with that.
Kushida, I think I know since he signed with NXT, it's been a little stop and go with some injuries, and it's been unfortunate, but I hope now he's going to get a big push after this victory here. And I was like, does he go after the NXT Cruiserweight title, or is he due for North American or even NXT Championship? So maybe
go for the gold.
Yeah, we can, figure that out as we go along. Next up, a match that if you had to rank them, maybe was like the second best match of the night.
Let's rank them at the end.
Okay.
Because I had that thought as well. I'm gonna put numbers next to mine. But
so it was NXT Cruiserweight Champion Santos Escobar taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Dude, this match was awesome. It started out great. I felt it finished even better. It was, oh my God, just the high-flying spots between the two of them. And they do have history together for all you Lucha Underground fans out there. I mean, this is King Cuerno taking on Killshot. So they do have a long history of working together and chemistry. I'm glad this match finally happened. I thought it was going to happen at the last TakeOver.
Wait, he was King Cuerno?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That was him with the red mask. Yeah. That was,
okay.
Yeah. So it's, they have a long history together. And so, while I was hoping they would get more screen time leading up to this TakeOver, they haven't been hardly on, NXT week to week. I know Santos has been doing more stuff on 205 Live, which I get bummed out because I want to see the Cruiserweight title get some big time get some good screen time on NXT. So hopefully, because I like the faction of Legado del Fantasma. So I want to see that faction get some more screen time on NXT. So hopefully after this, we're going to see more of that. But yeah, Richard, your thoughts on this match?
Really, really good. hard hitting. I mean, I'm trying to rack my brain and think, like, I don't think that they've had a cruiserweight title match on a TakeOver.
I don't think
they
so.
might have, but it's been so long since they have that I forgot. But this was really, really good, and I hope that they continue to have it on there because, you know, even if you're on 205 Live or NXT TV, you're not given this much time to show off. This was as good as when they've had the Cruiserweight title defended on a WrestleMania.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, it was so exciting. And, yeah, just to put it together, it was 4 title matches on this show. The only one that wasn't defended was the tag titles, which it was, like, kind of surprising. I know. It was like, man, the tag titles has kind of fallen in value a little bit. But, no, nonetheless, dude, the high-flying spots, members of Legado del Fantasma came out and trying to get involved. And then that one guy who was kind of like a jobber a little bit on NXT.
Yeah, I don't even know his name still.
Do you know his name, Tommy?
I'm trying to look it up.
I apologize. I shouldn't say jobber. Enhancement talent, I think is the right name.
He's a jobber. He's a jobber.
Is it Ashante Adonis?
Yes, that's his current name. He had a previous name, I think, when he first appeared on NXT. But so he comes out.
The artist formerly known as Ashante Adonis.
So I don't know much about him. I mean, I know he did some matches with NXT. I don't know if he's doing more stuff on 205 Live. But anyway, he comes out to help out Swerve.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, back and forth. And then, like, towards the end, like, dude, Swerve was getting some momentum. And I really thought he was going to pull off a miracle and win.
Yeah. I thought he was going to.
That moment where his head hit the turnbuckle was ugly because I couldn't tell, like, did they gimmick that or how did they gimmick that? Because that was just like, oh.
How about you, Tom? What do you think of the ending of that match?
Oh, I mean, it was just like everyone said, it was hard hitting, and I thought, you know, towards the end, Swerve Scott was just mounting a good comeback, but there were so many false finishes at the end, and it was rather spellbinding.
Yeah, it was just add so much drama to that match, and like
that was WCW quality cruiserweight match.
Yes,
absolutely. I mean?
Speaking of WCW events, we got Halloween Havoc coming up.
Yeah, so let's get into that right after this. So yeah, just to wrap it up, so Santos does pull off the victory. He is still NXT champion, and I'm happy for that because I really want to see this faction keep their momentum going and stay stronger. And I expect new big things for them because I think they could be hopefully maybe as good as like Undisputed Era in the near future. Right, so it's going to take some time, but nonetheless. But yeah, as Tommy just mentioned.
I think they're missing a 4th member and it should be a giant. You know who'd be great?
Who?
Is Ricky Banderas. What's his name? From Lucha Underground. Oh, shoot. The guy with Katrina.
Oh, Mil
Muertes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right.
He thinks that like bring him in.
Yeah.
Isn't he like 50 years old though?
Who cares? Look at him. He could be their Diesel. Remember they brought back with Jericho when Jericho first came back, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah.
Falling asleep on the ring.
Yeah.
He
has a sleep apnea.
So yes, Tommy just mentioned, they also making a big announcement during the show that yes, NXT is bringing back Halloween Havoc on Wednesday, October 28th.
Hell yes.
The video package was great because you had that spooky like haunted house vibe, and we see Shotzi Blackheart pop up and scream at the camera and say trick or treat. And it was announced at the end that she's gonna host Halloween Havoc. So yeah, Richard, just your thoughts on them bringing back an old WCW pay-per-view.
Thrilled, because that's the one that everyone's wanted. You know, like Starrcade's one thing.
War games.
Because when we were kids, we didn't realize the gravity of Starrcade, but everyone loved, Halloween Havoc. That's the WCW pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy and I, listen.
Super Brawl for me.
Yeah, they should bring that. Super Brawl Saturday? Sorry.
Couldn't even pay me to wrestle, Ron?
Sorry, we're just old Lex Luger, random
promo.
Lex Luger quotes.
Wow, I'm just going to start quoting Ready to Rumble.
Okay.
Go for it. But anyway.
No, but yeah, listen, the great thing about NXT, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, is listen, WWE owns the rights to so many pay-per-view names that were WWE pay-per-views. And there's a lot of them we want to see them reuse, and they just don't. They've just been sitting there owning the IP address but not doing anything with them. So that's the cool thing that NXT's been doing over the last couple years as far as reusing some of these names in their own way. So, for example, like NXT War Games, bringing that back around Survivor Series weekend, Great American Bash. So as we see, I think this is a great way of using some of these names again, but maybe if you don't want to dedicate a whole takeover to that name, you can use it on the weekly NXT show and just really add to it like a pay-per-view level quality show on the week-to-week show. You know what I mean? So
Right.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I think it's great. So the Wednesday before Halloween, they're going to do Halloween Havoc. I think it's a great way of using the name if they're not going to use it for a takeover. So just it's a great way of just adding some flavor to NXT.
It is kind of funny that they decided to do that then. And like you said, it felt like they did this takeover really quick.
Yeah.
Like from the last takeover. So it's like, why not wait another couple weeks and have Halloween Havoc be the takeover?
And that's something, I'm glad you brought that up. When I heard that, I was like, well, couldn't they just save this takeover to like the weekend before Halloween?
Then again, we don't know what they have planned. So.
Yeah, I mean, but like, because I know Hell in a Cell, I believe it's the weekend before Halloween. So it would have been cool maybe do like a double, feature on that weekend. NXT on Saturday, TakeOver, Halloween Havoc, and then Hell in a Cell on Sunday. But, powers that be don't do it. But I think it's also cool. Like, listen, also NXT, they've been using some of these old pay-per-view names as far as part of the counter program to AEW. But as far as we know, AEW doesn't have anything lined up on that particular Wednesday. So this is just NXT by itself doing its own Halloween Havoc. So it's going to be, I'm hoping
Suck
to be,
it, nerds.
So I hope it's going to be, a little more beefed up episode of NXT. I'm excited. I'm curious what they're going to use Shotzi Blackheart for in that. Is she going to be like an Elvira type of thing?
I could see that.
Hosting, as far as maybe she has like a little special lair.
By the way, Elvira was at WrestleMania 2.
Oh, damn.
She was a part of the commentary team with Jesse Ventura and Lord Alfred Hayes for WrestleMania 2, for the Los Angeles portion, especially in the main event between Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy in the steel cage match.
Tommy, okay, we get it.
So,
Jesus.
Your knowledge of the night. But anyway, so I'm saying is I'm looking forward to this. And listen, for everyone here in the Bay Area, we know Shotzi is a big horror movie fan. She used to do a podcast with a buddy of mine, Dominic from Tsunami Bomb, called Monster Candy. They reviewed horror movies. My buddy, my old coworker, No Name, used to host Creepy Coffee Movie Time. They watch horror movies. She appeared on that as like a dancer for that show.
Yeah, I remember.
And even on her Instagram, she's every day in the month of October, she's recommending horror movies for everyone to watch. So she's very much a horror movie expert. So this is right up her alley. It fits her personality, and I'm really happy for her that she's getting this opportunity to shine. And
I'm going to assume that she did get hurt this week on NXT, and that they don't want to leave her off with something like Halloween Havoc.
Good point.
Good point.
Okay, so maybe she can't
Because
necessarily
they
wrestle.
haven't had a host for NXT ever.
Yeah. So it's a way of having her on the show, but without wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, I think this is a great opportunity. I'm curious how they're going to use her. And like I said, maybe it'll be like Elvira. Maybe this sets her up, maybe life after wrestling. She could be like the new Elvira for a new generation. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm sure we'll talk more about it as we get closer to the actual date. Second to last show of the night was for the NXT Women's Championship match. Io Shirai defending her title against Candice LeRae. They have history here going back to last year when Io turned heel for the first time, took out Candice LeRae. So, there is some long form storytelling there. But these two, I think, have such great chemistry. Wow. What another, I keep using hard hitting term, but Richard, what a match this was.
Yes. This was my match of the night.
Really? Okay.
I expected the main event to be as good as it was, but this one surprised the shit out of me. This was just like, it had all the bells and whistles, and then everything that happened at the end of the match was just like, oh my God. And Johnny Gargano, I was really pissed off at first. It's like, oh my God, they're going to do this again, where someone puts on a referee shirt and now they claim that, the other person won. And it's like, no.
You just look goofy with that.
Yeah, I thought
kicking out. It was tremendous.
Yeah, I thought it was like, oh, we're getting it. When Johnny came out with the ref shirt, I was like, oh, is this going to be Bailey, Sasha, 2.0 against Asuka?
Yeah.
And where was Damian Priest? When they tagged together on NXT this week, and he can't have Io's back?
Yeah, that's
TakeOver?
rock and roll sister now. But the other thing too is the ref bump in that. I was laughing because okay, if that was the same ref from the Aleister Black match on Raw last week, Candice LeRae would have been thrown out already. So it's like the NXT refs are more tougher than the refs on Raw.
Right.
I loved the referee getting up and yelling at Johnny, "That's my shirt. Give me my shirt back."
Yes. I noticed that. That was hilarious.
And by the way, when that was all taking place on the floor, did you guys notice? And this was something people put out. I guess. Okay. So Vic Joseph was there in-house doing the commentary.
With 2 people next to him.
2 seat fillers, just random people sitting next to him.
Yeah.
Because Wade Barrett and Beth, I guess, were doing their portions of the show.
At home.
Broadcast from home. So people were like, oh my God, why are these seat fillers there? It was like kind of goofy looking. So
yeah.
But anyway, this match.
They were doing stuff, though. I don't know what their purpose was, but they were definitely doing stuff whenever I saw them.
Maybe they're part of production or whatever.
How about you, Tom?
Maybe they're voice actors.
Could be.
They add sound effects. Oh my God! What'd you think of this match, Tommy?
Oh, Io was just great.
Candice too.
Candice she was taking quite a lot of bumps, and just I thought it was just a great match.
Absolutely, and Io pulled off the victory. So here we are. The Gargano family went 0-2 on the night. So the prophecy still has happened yet as far as husband and wife dual champions there.
Those were your picks.
I know. I'm so bummed. I sucked this weekend on my picks. But the other thing though was, so after the match, Io's in the ring, and all of a sudden we see the screen change up on the side of the wall.
Yep.
And we see Toni Storm appear.
Oh yeah.
And Toni Storm came on the screen, and she, did
basically called out Io Shirai.
And she said that she is now going to be part of NXT now. So, congrats to her. It's very exciting that she's looks like she's going to be coming back to NXT on a full-time basis now. And she said it's going to be Tony time. So, I mean, Richard, I'm sure. For you must also be happy to see Toni Storm back on NXT. I mean, at this point, she kind of pretty much did everything she could over at NXT UK. So I think the next logical step in one's career is to move over to NXT Prime.
Absolutely. And I think she has a ton to bring to that brand.
Yes.
Because, she's a great talent. I don't know if people were really watching NXT UK to watch Toni Storm. So, because they didn't really build. It's not like if they sent Shayna Baszler over there.
Yeah.
Because Shayna was already established over here. And my understanding of Toni Storm, I'm aware that she's wrestled in England and all over the world, but she's primarily been in Japan. So it didn't make a lot of sense to put her somewhere where she's not really that known to the audience.
Yeah. So it's cool. Like, Io Shirai has some fresh new competition there. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, earlier on the kickoff show, Rhea Ripley did an interview and says whoever wins the women's match, she wants to be next in line for a title shot. So Io already has Rhea Ripley down her neck. Toni Storm is coming back and making it clear she wants the title.
This is the way it's supposed to be. This is how wrestling is supposed to be.
And then when we thought that was enough, all of a sudden we see the night vision, the green video camera footage of the person on the motorcycle.
And they're outside the Capitol Wrestling Center.
Yeah, and then they start coming in. I'm like, oh, okay, so Toni Storm was not that person. This is someone else. They come out and with the helmet on, very much looking like Edge had ECW's, was it One Night Stand or the second one? The first one?
Yeah.
Second one.
The second one.
It was very Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah. And we get a closer look, and this person teases, take off the helmet, then they stop, And then they take it off finally, and it was revealed Ember Moon.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I got my pick right.
Oh, yeah.
So
They did a very good job with her in social media and podcasts and
Yeah.
WWE backstage of making it sound like we wouldn't see her till 2021, and even then we didn't know because she might have to retire because of an Achilles injury.
yeah,
So like I don't know if we said it on air or this was a conversation we had separately, but I was like, there's no way that she's going to pop back up anytime soon. And
yeah.
now she's Super Cena.
A couple things. One, I'm just so happy and excited that she's coming back to NXT. Even because when she got called to Raw and SmackDown, they weren't using her that much, and then she eventually got hurt. Two, I'm just extremely happy for her that she's able to wrestle again. This is a sign that she's healed and able to compete again, because as you just said, there were doubts that she would ever be able to compete again and might have to retire extremely young. So that segment alone made me so happy for her. I'm happy that she's coming back. So yeah, Io, like when we thought maybe the women's division was a little thin right now because of some recent call-ups to Raw and SmackDown over the course of the last 6 months. Dude, the women's division in NXT is stacked once again. You've added 2 new faces, and someone else is going after the title. So Io already has 3 challengers coming after her. And so Candice LeRae goes back to the back of the line now. And keep in mind, like when they had the Battle Royal a couple weeks ago to get the new number 1 contender, there was a lot of female competitors in that match. I know some of them are fresh faces that we haven't seen on TV, but the women's division has a very bright future in NXT, and arguably I think is the best women's division of all pro wrestling right now. But dude, I'm excited. Part of me though is kind of hoping maybe Ember Moon. I mean, she came out all smiley face. I know she's been like a baby face. Part of me though, I kind of want her to do like Edge and come out with the helmet on and like spear her, or maybe do her finisher. What's it called? The flying like stunner. I forgot the name of it, but that would be cool if she would have done her finisher, and that would have been. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it called the Eclipse?
Yeah. So it'd been really cool if Ember Moon did the Eclipse and then take off the helmet. But if she did the Eclipse, that would have been a total sign that it was her. What great, and then make the big reveal that way. So she just came out, took the helmet off. I thought it could have been like a little more impactful if she would have maybe attacked Io in some way to add some more drama to it. But nonetheless, I'm just super happy for her. So, dude, a very exciting conclusion to that match, and I'm super excited for what's next for Io and the rest of the competitors in the women's division. Last but not least, the main event, NXT champion Finn Balor defending the title against Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, I think we can all agreement how this match was, and if you follow social media, I think everyone was pretty much the same thing. It was like pretty much like 100% all in favor of just an amazing match. Richard, your thoughts on the main event here?
I thought that was the most Ring of Honor main event that NXT's done before.
Okay, I hear you. It
was a lot longer than I thought it was going to go, because I think with the entrances it went about 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And it was just hard hitting as hell. And I think everyone thought that Kyle O'Reilly was going to win it. My only complaint, I don't understand why they did that thing at the end. That kind of ruined the moment.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I'm with you, dude. Super hard hitting, technical, a lot of ground and pound moments.
A lot of rest holes, which was good.
Yes.
Yeah, all that. Tommy, how about you? Your thoughts on this?
It looked like a very old school, like you said, Ring of Honor, but it was like I was like watching an old like Daniel Bryan match.
Yeah, dude. Incredible stuff here. I mean, on the West, can we say that hasn't been said already in the last 24 hours on social media and stuff?
I just want to touch on this. I just thought, have you noticed that this match, that both wrestlers, never went outside the ring at all? It was a great mat-based grappling technical match. And you notice, like, any of these recent matches that you consider that are good or great, as match of the year contender, and usually a lot of them are like involving like a spot or a dive to the outside or a general spot outside the ring. But such was not the case in this match. The only spot I've noticed during this match was when they both exited the ring and Kyle O'Reilly hit the dragon screw leg whip on Finn, during the ropes. Even that just only lasted a few seconds. But, it was just nice to see a match like this, because, just taking place inside the ring, because you see so much outside dives and spots that have become so common in wrestling today. So
no, I'm with you. It's just I like the storytelling as far as Kyle O'Reilly attacking Finn Balor's knee and therefore making it hard for him to do his finisher because he would have to sacrifice his knee even more. So just do that finish. Finn got the victory there. After the match, there was a lot of speculation what's going to happen with Undisputed Era. So we see in good sportsmanship, Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly shake hands. All of a sudden, we see Ridge Holland come out with a knocked out Adam Cole, threw him on the ground, and then we see Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong coming out, and they're like, "What happened? Oh my God, what happened to him?" I mean, Richard, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know what to think. I'm not too thrilled with it because I don't think Ridge Holland's had enough in-ring work to work with any of those 5 guys.
Yeah.
So I'm not particularly thrilled about it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
I think he's got a lot of potential, but this is not how you get that potential paid off.
Well, my concern is you would think Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong were watching a match with Adam Cole. So how did Adam Cole get separated from the two of them and get beat up by Ridge Holland theoretically?
Took a piss break.
He separated himself. And then it's just, the acting from the two of them. Like, what happened? Finn, did you see what happened? It's like, no, he's been wrestling in the match for the last half an hour.
Yeah, it fell flat for me.
Yeah,
fell flat.
It wasn't as epic. I think a lot of people were anticipating maybe Undisputed Era breaking up somehow in that moment. It didn't pay off fully to what I think people's expectations were. But nonetheless, it's definitely going to make me want to tune in NXT this week and see what's next and maybe get some answers to those questions. But also, I haven't had a chance to look up on it too much, but rumor is Finn Balor had to go to hospital. I don't think it's been confirmed yet.
Both did.
But so Kyle O'Reilly had some busted teeth, and I think Finn has a busted jaw. I don't know if it's broken yet, but hopefully whatever. With Kyle O'Reilly, you can get new teeth, put in, or the dentist can fix it. But you know what I mean? Like, if it's broken, they can just fill it in. But for Finn Balor, if it's a broken jaw, that's gonna probably he's gonna have to get wired up and for a bit. Hopefully it's not like Killer Cross. I was gonna say Killer Cross, Karrion Kross. He has to relinquish the title. I mean, I think if it's a broken jaw, he can easily still hold on to the championship. If that's the case, they can keep him off TV for a week or two, bring him back in a video package, and he can sit it out for a couple weeks while his jaw recovers. So, wishing Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly speedy recovery. This shows, look, they put their bodies on the line out there for our enjoyment. So, it's going to be interesting to see what's next for Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly looks like he's going to start getting this push now as a babyface. So, a lot of exciting stuff here. I'm super happy with this show, how it played out. Very entertaining stuff. So, congrats once again to everyone involved.
Where do you guys rank the matches? Give me your 1 through 5.
Tommy, you want to go
5
first?
to 1.
Okay, so fifth best match.
Fifth best match was I think I got to go with Priest and Gargano.
Okay, fourth.
And fourth will be Kushida and Velveteen Dream. Third will be Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae. The second one was
Santos.
Oh yeah, Santos and Swerve Scott. And number 1, Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly.
That's kind of similar. I was kind of leaning towards maybe more Velveteen Dream fifth. No, excuse me. Yeah. And then Damian Priest, Johnny fourth. Io, Candice third. Santos second, and Finn and Kyle number 1. How about you, Richard?
Priest and Gargano 5. Swerve and Santos 4. 3 would be Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor.
Okay.
Kushida and Velveteen Dream 2 and Io and Candice, my number 1. And I only have 1 and 2 like that because they were so much better than I was expecting. Like, I was expecting good matches.
Yeah.
I was expecting good matches, but I was invested. Those were really, really good.
Yeah.
They were.
Like you with Kyle and Finn, it was just what I thought it was going to be, which was superb.
Yeah, absolutely. So this match delivered, the whole show delivered from a wrestling standpoint. Love the new setup at the, what's it called, Tommy?
The Capitol Wrestling Center.
Yeah, I love that setup, and that's going to be their new home for the foreseeable future.
It looks fantastic.
So a lot of bright things ahead for NXT. I'm super excited for. So on that note, let's go ahead and start wrapping things up. Richard, do you want to list off, let's see, show of the week, match of the week? And maybe
we'll just do this.
Okay.
We just did the lineup that'll be fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's just save it. I know we've been running long already. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of the great wrestling out there. If you haven't done so, watch NXT UK. We'll break it down next episode. A lot of great stuff.
Can I say
there.
something?
What's that?
What I want to recommend to anyone, today marks 23 years since the death of Brian Pillman. And if you get a chance, just watch any of his matches on the WWE Network or on YouTube or whatever. Just enjoy the great Brian Pillman.
Absolutely. No, very well spoken there. And
may he rest in peace.
Yeah. And Primetime Live, they got another episode this week as well, their 4th episode. NXT UK, a lot of great stuff coming up in pro wrestling right now. It's a lot of exciting times right now. So on that note, let's go home. Richard, where can all the Kliqsters find you online?
You can find me at Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram and nowhere else, folks.
Tommy, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at IronFist1982.
And you can follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. And for everything else, at In The Kliq on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, InTheKliq@gmail.com. All those places. Please rate, comment, and share the podcast. We appreciate all the continued support. And on that note, that's the bottom line because Huey said so.